now we have somebody special as well to speak to. This is my good friend Ashley Calhoun. Clap it up one time for Ashley. In the industry, we call her the pub queen. She has the pub queen title. She's been very influential in the sound of music in general over the last 5 years at Pulse. Ashley, can you do me a favor, just give them the proper introduction? What's your title? How long you been in the game? How you got introduced to music in general?
Yeah. My name's Ashley Calhoun. Thank you for the warm introduction and for having me. Jay Hatch is a longtime friend, colleague, all of the above, and someone I really respect in this business. So this is an amazing event, and I'm honored to be a part of it. But yeah, my name's Ashley Calhoun. I am president and head of creative at Pulse Music Group. We are, in my opinion, the best independent music publishing company in the game.
That's real. That's real talk.
You know, we have an incredible roster that spans from Kehlani to James Blake, Brent Faiyaz, who I signed very early on, Stara, O.G. Parker, Tyler Johnson, who did all the Harry Styles, all the Miley singles. List goes on, but we have an incredible roster all day. The list goes on. We're now leaning into the record business too. So we just launched our label, signed our first artist with my boy Brent Faiyaz, which I'm really excited about. An artist named Tommy Richmond that we're working together on and building out. He's on tour supporting Brent right now. We'll be on Brent's album. We got a bunch of great stuff coming from him. He just dropped an EP. He's fucking amazing. But yeah, president, head of creative. I started in this game like 14 years ago. I moved to LA when I was 18 years old from Virginia Beach, Virginia. Always knew I wanted to work in music. Started as like an unpaid intern, and I've had every role along the way. I went from unpaid intern to assistant to coordinator to A&R manager, A&R director, senior director. I've like not skipped any steps. I've been working on the publishing and label sides for many years now. Since I've been at Pulse, I've also been consulting for like RCA for 4 years. Before that, I was at Epic Records. LA Reid brought me in for a year. Worked with Mike Caron on a project for a soundtrack for a year. So I've been doing both for a minute. I also manage producers under Pulse. I have a producer named Rocky who did a lot of the Kendrick Lamar stuff, and a producer named G. Rye who's done like Laugh Now, Cry Later for Drake. Yeah, did Calling My Phone for Black, and Lil TJ, a lot of TJ stuff, and yeah, do a little bit of everything, but Pulse is my baby, and we're kind of in every field now, which is dope.
Clap it for Ashley, man. So what really amazes me about what you've been able to do the last, half a decade or so is really kind of connect, these writers, producers, and really create brands individually, as those creators. And we know how tough that is. Everybody's got to always post social media stuff and be in the right rooms. But how did you, or why did you kind of feel like you needed to be that person in that space of getting these creatives to where they needed to be? What really got you into that space?
I always knew I wanted to work in the music business. I'm from Virginia Beach, so like the culture of being amazing and being in music is definitely a thing. Like Pharrell, Missy Elliott, Timbaland, Danger, the Clips, like list goes on. I knew I wanted to be in music, thought I wanted to produce. Long story short, I came out here, did like a 9-month audio engineering program, did various internships with like everyone from Lex Barrero, DJ Ski, got connected with my mentors at Cats, and quickly decided I really wanted to pivot to the business side. And yeah, I really thought I was gonna get into publishing. I started my publishing career at a company called Rondor. We were a subsidiary under Universal Music Publishing. I started working with Metro Boomin when he was like 17 years old, a very early future with no real hits at the time. Sunny Digital when he was having like his first real moment. And my goal was really to do like 4 years, like treat it like university, because I didn't go to college, right? So I was doing this 9-month audio engineering program that was just whatever. And then I was like, I'll work in publishing 4 years, that will be my college, and then I'll just be a super manager. And I just fell in love with publishing, like the act of putting writers and producers together with artists, pitching songs. I was really like Sunny Digital was the first person that I was given to handle, and we were the same age, 4 days apart in our birthdays, both having our first moment together. We were both 20, like new 20, like bright-eyed in the music business, and we're like, let's figure this out together. And we were like really just learning the landscape together, meeting everyone. I got to meet every A&R, and I was like, we were just wrapping our arms around each other, and I fell in love with that process of just making songs, pitching songs, working with creatives and developing producers and songwriters, and I was having a lot of fun with it. So I don't know, that's really just where my passion is. I know some people's passion is really like the label grind, and like that thing is a whole different beast of its own, but my grind is like just making great songs and finding them the best home.
What about publishing really makes your day go by? Like, what are some of the things that you do on a day-to-day basis with the creatives so they kind of know the process of what someone in your position may do? And also, if you can just explain, like, publishing in general.
Yeah, of course. I mean, my position is different now, but I can kind of explain publishing in general. So publishing, we deal with songwriters, and songwriters are people who are actually making these records. Sometimes that is not the artists themselves. Usually it is, but sometimes these artists aren't writing their own songs, and that's okay. We should embrace that. If they're leaning on writers and creatives that can make great songs, I think that's dope. Like, I always think that's incredible. But yeah, the primary function of a publisher is to collect publishing royalties. There's also additional creative services that, we set up sessions for people, pitch records, find sync opportunities, which is opportunities in video games, film, TV shows, advertisements, and yeah, just finding additional opportunities for songs and really dealing with the song at its core, making great records, pitching them, finding them a great home, and yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
So in terms of like somebody getting a publishing deal, what do you look for? Is it the placement? Is it the talent? Is it a little bit of both? Like, what do you actually look for, or how does somebody get a publishing deal?
I think it's different based on publisher to publisher. At Pulse, we're an indie. We're not really chasing market share. When it comes to the majors, they're chasing records, like things that are already moving. They're really studying their media-based charts. The main ways to really make money on the publishing side is radio and sync. Streaming is cool, but it's not really how we eat. Labels really eat off streaming more because you get paid out more on streams. And that's just the nature of what it is. Obviously, publishers and people are trying to change that, and hopefully that does change, but that's where it's at right now. So yeah, that's kind of the landscape, and yeah, we're there to collect those royalties on a day-to-day basis. Again, like A&R team is there to set up sessions and help just procure opportunities, whether it's the A&R team helping you get on Beyonce's project or whatever you want to work on, or a sync team helping you I had a writer that really wanted to be on Sims. It was like her lifelong dream, Stara, and we ended up getting one of her original songs on Sims, and she recorded it in Simlish, which is like the Sims language, which was like her like lifelong goal. Of all the things she's accomplished, that was something she really wanted, and we were able to connect those dots for her, So that's the function of a publisher, and we're here to help with all those things, as well as put you with the whoever to get the Rihanna placement and those things as well. So
you wear a lot of hats, Ash.
Yeah,
you wear a lot of hats. Hey, I want to be on a Sims project. Okay, I got you on that, no problem. Let's talk a little bit about just deal-wise. Like, obviously when you're offered an opportunity to be signed by a publisher, there's different types of deals they could do based on where you are in your career, if you have music in the pipeline, stuff like that. Can you just explain to them a little bit about how there are different deals, maybe the MDRC, like just different things they need to know about publishing deals?
Look, there's really like 2 deals right now. MDRC is so dated. I pray no one is still doing those types of deals. I haven't talked about this in like 100 years, but I did have someone signed to one semi recently, but I hope Just no one ever signed an MDRC deal. MDRC deal is a deal based on how many songs you have released on a fully licensed project, usually released on a major label, and it's basically a super dated business model that you really don't see anymore. So if you see that, hopefully you have a lawyer that switches you to a recoupment and term-based deal, which is what really matters. Like, did you make the money back, and have you served out however long that period of time is, which varies. But the two main types of deals are a co-publishing deal. Those are the deals that we do at Pulse. We don't do admin deals. We're trying to build a business that's of value, and we are very hands-on, so we deserve, to participate in that, and just for our contributions on everyone we work with. But basically that's you co-own the songs that you write during that term, and usually the songs that you write before that term, unless you had a prior deal. I don't want to get into too many specifics because it gets too crazy, but you co-own copyrights for X amount of time, which is the reversion or retention period. I always, just disclaimer, recommend having a lawyer who works in the music business. Don't hire your family friend lawyer that does family law or this type of law. Hire someone that works and specializes in the music business. We all know who those people are. Those are people that we deal with on a daily basis, and I think it's really important. I see a lot of just newbies hiring, this is my family friend.
Boy, it's my boy.
Yeah, my dad's friend does this type of law and thinks he can do this, and it's a nightmare, and they don't really know the landscape of the music business and what's what. And if you have a lawyer that actually is a player in the game, it's super beneficial on all sides. Like, I have lawyers help me set up sessions sometimes, and help make plays, and that's what you want. The other type of deal is an admin deal. That's basically you're just licensing your work for X period of time. There's no ownership. Typically, those types of deals are for people who are more established. You've built a business of value. You've probably had co-publishing deals in the past. You're at a certain point where you need that, but it's the music business. It truly is the Wild West. There's no rules to this. So I've seen new writers get crazy admin deals. And I've seen, writers in their fourth publishing deal who are huge artists want to do a co-pub deal because they want a company to feel like they have skin in the game and to grind for them. So, again, it's truly the Wild West. I really recommend everyone have a great music lawyer in their corner. They're at all levels. I know the beginning lawyers who are grinders, who are like picking up every client, and those ones are fucking fire, and so are the huge ones, if you're a priority for them. But definitely always have a music business lawyer that's trusted and respected in the business to help you negotiate that deal.
Absolutely. So there's obviously a lot of big publishers out there. You have your, BMGs, you have your Universals, and then you have boutique like APG, yourself at Pulse. What do you think the benefits are, or what are the benefits in your eyes to having somebody at a boutique versus some of those bigger?
Man, it's just bandwidth. It's even for us, it's a reason why we started the label. These labels and these companies, they're so overburdened, We're hiring people. We just hired a sales guy from Interscope on the record side who's amazing. And he's like, I'm pitching 20 different artists every week, and I don't have an opportunity to take this person to lunch and dig in on one artist's career. I have to just, every week it's just like I'm churning, and I don't have an opportunity to build anything. I'm just trying to keep up. And I think that's something important to keep in mind that a lot of the majors are dealing with, whether it's publishing, records, on the management side, even with these lawyers I'm talking about. If you're not a priority to them, then you're just going to get whatever extra time they happen to have, if any. And I think it's important to, when you're choosing a partner, especially when you're doing a deal with someone, make sure you understand what their bandwidth is like and what your expectation is of them. I can speak specifically to Pulse right now. Like, we don't oversign. We're not chasing market share. We're not playing the same game the majors are, thank God. And we're able to just sign things early and really develop them. So if we're putting a deal out and we're pursuing something, we're building with someone, usually we date before we marry too. Like, I always like to get people cuts before we do a deal, just to show what we can do and show what it's going to be like. That's happened on numerous occasions. But I think just be very clear and ask all the questions and make sure that you're actually going to get these people's time and you're not just going to be one of 50 on someone's list. Because at the end of the day, everyone has 24 hours in a day. They're not working all 24. So how much time are you going to get, and what is their workload like, and what does that look like? So I think it's something to keep in mind. But with that being said, there are great people at the majors. They're all my friends. They're all our friends. We work with them on a daily basis. They're awesome. Again, it's just there's only so much time in a day. So are you going to be their priority? And that's a valid question to ask.
Yeah. Absolutely, and it's just a quick story. I don't know if everybody knows who Cadence is, songwriter Cadence. I used to manage her, kind of developed her, early on through my own events like this and breaking her work with all these brand new producers. So we had a really great system in terms of how we wanted to elevate, to get to different people. So I had known Ashley for a little bit. I'm not quite sure how we actually got introduced to each other, but I went, I sent her some music. She was like, yeah, bring her up. It was kind of like later in the period of terms of us like doing a deal. But you'd be very surprised at how, that whole date to marry thing works out, because all these publishers wanted to see what they can do in the room. Like, they want to put their name on you. So if they could put you in a room with a Metro Boomin or whoever the case may be, Ashley's got to be able to say, like, this is my person. I believe in this person. I'm going to put this person in the room. We're going to do some great things. And then I'm gonna need you to come back so we can do this deal, you know what I'm saying? So how important are those early relationships for you to like really kind of nurture somebody you really, really believe in? Because it's really about a belief, not always about the numbers or whatever. Like,
man, it's everything.
Yeah.
Like, for me to do a deal with someone, I really have to know who you are. I have to know who I'm sending in the room. I have to know what that looks like. I have to know what you feel like that day before I send you into the room. You know what I mean? I have to know what your thought process is like, your strengths, your weaknesses, because it's not only your reputation at the end of the day, which that's something I'm banking on, it's mine now, because now I'm pulling my relationships to put you in the room with someone, I can't look crazy. So, it's really about understanding who the person is and digging in and making sure that you're just set up for the best possible result at the end, which is a win for everybody. But I like to take time. I never really like to rush into a deal. Again, we don't really chase market share. There's no reason for us to try to rush to press something. And we're kind of known for being early on things. So I like to take time and just dig in and get to know people before we move forward on anything.
So can you give me like an example of maybe somebody you did find at early age? I mean, aside from Sunny, but just finding somebody and really believing in them and seeing them through all the processes of getting to that next level.
Man, everyone I've ever worked with, but Brent Fias is a great example. Brent was like damn near a cold email someone sent to me, his manager, who had met once through a mutual friend. And I was fucking blown away by what I heard on the SoundCloud link. And I hit him right back, like, I got to meet this kid. He's like, cool, I'll fly him to LA to meet you. Met him, got to dig in, did a bunch of sessions. I mean, right then I kind of knew I wanted to work with this kid. And, he was out of market, like he was living in North Carolina at the time. There wasn't, people weren't really circling like that. And I just got to know him, like put him in some sessions. He ended up meeting Goldlink at our Burbank studio. They ended up doing a song called Crew, 7 times platinum, Grammy nominated. That was in our first probably 3 to 6 months of working together. But I just took time and like really got to know him and his manager. His manager, Ty, is a genius, wizard, like my brother, the smartest guy I've ever met. Drives me crazy how smart he is. And I just got to know them and I was like, yeah, the songs aren't smashes yet, but I see what this could be. Manager's a genius. Artist wants it. He's young. He's hungry. He takes direction well. And I know what this is going to be, and you just really dig in. Stara was the same thing. I was at Universal at Rondor at the time when I met Stara, but she didn't have any hits. So it's a different type of business when you're at a company affiliated with a major. They want market share. So she didn't have any placements. I can't say, hey, let me sign this writer that has nothing going on. She's just as cool. But I was just staying super close to it. And then when I was in between jobs and considering where I was going, I told every company I met with, I need to sign this girl as my first signing. Star, she's next. Like, nobody sounds like this. And Pulse was the company that was most excited. So I rocked with Pulse and they let me sign her. Like, as I was doing my deal, I was doing her deal.
Wow. Let everybody know what record stars produced real quick so they know the level of this.
Rihanna, Needed Me, Drake, Fake Love, Maroon 5, Girls Like You. The list goes on. There's many. Normani, Wild Side with Cardi B. There's so many. She's written tons of hits, but she's a beast.
Definitely
Kevin
is.
Gates, Songwriter of the Year, ASCAP, first woman Songwriter of the Year in like 16 years or something, ASCAP. She's a monster.
So obviously, you put a lot of effort into these creatives and you really build a bond, a relationship. What kind of gratification do you get from all that? How do you feel when you see somebody like a Stara go from like, hey, I'm just writing records to, I don't need to write records for a while now?
It's why I do it. There's a young executive on my team who I gave a little bump, recently, and I was happy about it. I'm like, dude, he's like, I really like this. I'm like, no, you're going to love this. Like, it's an addicting feeling to see, when I met Brent, he was working in the deli at Harris Teeter on the East Coast. Was rapping, just started singing. Who knows what it could be. Stara, working at Public Storage, was like the fucking employee of the year at Public Storage or something. I signed her and I was like, cool, let's go do session. She's like, no, I have to put in my 2 weeks and train someone. And I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? But it's a testament to their work ethic. But yeah, it's rewarding, and I'm just looking at what's next. Who's next? What's next for Star? Now it's like us building out her venture and her business. I want to build her something bigger than Pulse. I want her to be the biggest music publisher in the music business. I want Brent to be performing at the fucking Super Bowl. We just signed an artist with him on the label. I want that artist to be, the next best thing. So it's like remembering those moments and where we came from and being excited about everything we've done, but it's always like, what's next?
Right.
How do we make this even bigger? Cool, you're good, your family's good. Like, how do I make sure your grandkids are good? And then their grandkids are good. Like, let's build some generational wealth and make sure that, you're just top dog in this shit.
I'll get up for Ashley one time. What do you feel like are some of the red flags you see when creatives are trying to get to that publishing deal level? What are you seeing out there, even if it's just in communication or consistency?
Man, I think it's simple. It's always the easiest things. Showing up on time. Being serious about it, following up. If you say you're going to do something, do it. If you say you're going to send the bounces, I had a meeting this morning and it was like, everyone was like, yeah, they're going to send the bounce. They're going to send the bounce. I was like, I know what this means. I'm never going to get this folder. I'm going to have to ask you guys 5 times for it, which I'm not going to do. And they sent me the fucking bounces. And do what you say you're going to do. It's like any other job. You have to show up on time. You have to show up serious. And take this seriously. The other thing I don't really rock with is people saying oh, I did this all on myself, when you didn't. I'm meeting with, I have a very established producer who's been chasing me for a minute now, on some business. It's not even necessarily publishing related, but he's like, yeah, I've never had anyone on my team. And I'm like, you're signed to a publisher who I know, who's my friend, who does things. You've worked with a management company who I know has done things for you. And you're trying to communicate to me you've done this all on your own. I know that's cap. So trying to take credit for everything too is definitely a red flag. I think you need to give your flowers to people and really appreciate people who do anything for you. Even if it's just introducing you to someone, they don't really have to do that. So those are all red flags to me. I think it's just simple, show up on time, be hungry, work. Our goal is to match your work ethic. I'm going to work as hard as someone else works. I'm never going to work harder than you, though. Because if not, I got people that work hard as shit. I'm going to go hard for them, But my goal is to match you. I can't outdo you, though.
Anyway, you can hear me. Anyway. Cheap ass mics. Not kidding. It's funny because Matt said the exact same thing. It's very interesting. He said people just aren't honest. They're not, they say they did a full song, but they didn't do anything, or whatever the case may be. So, I think one of the most important things too is on the consistency side. Like, when you're really trying to do this, like, you have to understand you got to be hungry. You got to be able to take certain sacrifices. You got to be able to be consistent and not step away for too long. And really, with somebody like an Ashley or somebody in the pub space, like, a lot of it is about feel, vibe, energy, and you have to be able to kind of project that properly when you're in the right room, in the right conversation. So when you tell somebody something and it's not true, it's just they automatically just don't want to mess with you at that point.
Just remember, like, this business is a small business. I see Matt McNeil, and like, Matt's my boy. We broke bread together. We've done shit together. We all know each other. Steve LaBelle, like, we all know each other. It's a very small business, so you can't get by just like saying certain things and that's not the case, because we all talk. Like, I'm gonna ask people. You know what I mean? I'm always going to check my references before I get into business with someone. So just something to keep in mind.
Absolutely. Let's take a little quick Q&A from the audience. Real fast, man. Kevin Armani.
Hey, what's going on? Thank you for coming out and sharing the gems. I appreciate it. How important is it for one individual to understand that their measure of success may be someone else's? It's different, like, measures of successes. Because a lot of people, they sign co-pub deals, admin deals, and they go across and like, well, I heard the co-pub is awful. They take 50%, but your level of success may not be the same as his. He might be using that as leverage. Or he might be learning something. You know what I mean? Or he might just, you know what I mean? Like, I have no work going for me, but at least now I still have a company that's working for me. And so, because we've seen time and time again that there's a lot of artists out there who are like superstars and they sign terrible deals and then they leverage out of it. I'm not saying it might not happen for everybody, but I think that it's really misleading when people think there's like one deal.
I think it's not necessarily about the deal. I see a lot of just shit online with a lot of people who aren't even really in the music business about deals. It's really, I want to stress, it's not so much about the deal, it's about the people you're in business with and what are you guys doing together. Is that your team? Are they locked in? Are you guys talking on a daily basis? Are they bringing shit to the table on the sync publishing side? If it's records, are they tapped in with you on the marketing side? You guys are getting creative, building worlds out. If not, it doesn't matter what deal you have. That's a L, So it's really just about being with a team that rocks with you, and then, you work the business out. As you have more success, you can renegotiate things too and do more favorable things. But the goal is always to just lock in and make sure you're having success first. I've had, everyone on our roster, if you look at our roster, is in a co-publishing deal. A lot of those artists, James Blake, Ty Dolla $ign, the list goes on, have come from majors of other publishing deals. They didn't come to us like, hey, we need an admin deal because we're so successful. It's, hey, we were at a major, we were overlooked, we're super fucking talented, obviously, and we want a team that just helps bring things to the table. And that's really what it's about. If people are bringing things to the table, then they earn that percentage on the back end. And if not, it doesn't matter if you're in an admin deal and you have an inactive partner. Congrats on that, I guess. Like, that's cool. I hope you're fucking crushing it yourself, but the goal is to always just have a team that's proactive, believes in you, and is just an extension. Like, I consider myself an extension of management. Like, I'm your management team. I'm talking to them every day. I'm talking to you every day. We're fucking locked in. I'm going to come up with some crazy ideas. You might shut all of them down, but I'm coming with them, And that's really what you want at the end of the day. I think people get caught up on the deals, and the people that get caught up on the deals, I feel like haven't had any wins yet. It's like, let's make some money first.
Yeah, more hung up on a dollar sign than the opportunity. So, who has a question? Go ahead, Farah.
How you doing? Appreciate you coming. My name is Farah. So you mentioned a few success stories that you've had over the years. And I was wondering, when you speak into a situation where you believed in the writer or the
Oh
artist,
man, this is good.
and I want you to, the one that stands out the most, and how they worked themselves out of the room. And then through the situation, how did you yourself adapt and go through that?
I mean, that's a real reality of it too. I feel like sometimes, visions don't necessarily end up aligning. Again, it goes back to the honesty thing. I've had people tell me, yes, I'm gonna live in LA and I'm gonna fucking go hard and do doubles and triples and do what I need to do, and end up leaving too soon. Because the reality is like, it's a different process for everyone. Stara's trajectory is not Brent's trajectory, is not OG Parker's trajectory, is not G Rice. Like, all of them had such different paths, and these are just the people that I've worked with personally and broken. It takes time, it takes grind. For G Riot, it was like a 9-year fucking like sweating, just putting his head down and working and really like learning under other people. For Star, it happened fairly quickly. For Brent, again, it was a grind. And it's really just about being honest. And again, like, I really like to date before I marry. I've learned a lot of lessons. I have dealt with a couple of these signings where it's like, you say you're gonna do something and we're just gonna grind it out. You're gonna move to LA. We're gonna, grind out, blind date as much as we can until you find your people, and we're gonna make this shit shake. But I had like one writer in particular who was brought to me by A&R at a label, who was working on a lot of projects, who was really fucking talented, had everything in the world going for him, had me, a manager at a label that works on projects that was literally getting him all his placements, and just dropped the ball. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, dropped the ball, decided to move back, left, thought things would still kind of work, and obviously it doesn't when you're living in someplace fucking random. And, thankfully my wins make up for my losses times a million, so like, it's no sweat, but it's a bummer because I really believed in this kid. I stood on the table for him at one point, and I feel like sometimes people give up on themselves, and I've never been that person. I've never had a plan B. I've never had a backup plan. I'm like, I'm gonna be this, I'm gonna be the biggest music executive, and that's what it is, and I'm still on that journey. That's what it is for me. There's no backup plan. That's just it. And I can't relate to people that don't have that same drive. And it's a shame because sometimes I've even seen it on the executive side. Like, some people that were my closest friends aren't around anymore, and they made huge records, huge hits, and they're just nowhere to be seen. And people give up, and it's just a reality of it. And sometimes that's what happens, and it's a risk you take when betting on someone. But again, I can't work harder than someone works for themselves. I can't want it for someone more than they want it for themselves. I fucking want it. So if someone wants it and they're here to match my hustle, like, let's get it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's real talk right there. And just to piggyback a little bit too, like, not only is it a grind, but like, there's this big whiteboard with a little red dot on it somewhere, and we got to throw a fistful of darts at this thing all the time to just try to figure out where that is. But eventually, when you do land close to the dart and it gets a little bit bigger, the target, now you throw the right darts. You throw, you focus more on, I don't want to say quality over quantity, but now you have a closer opportunity. When we work with Cadence, we were doing like 3 sessions a day, for weeks at a time with no days off. But she'd be in the room with like a Cool and Dre or an S1 or whoever the case may be, and she was moving towards where she needed to be until we had the opportunity with Hit Boy that brought her in the studio for Ariana's project. And to both points really, is like, sometimes something happens and it's amazing, and you had this amazing experience, and then you might get a check for it, but that doesn't dictate what's gonna happen after that. Because that one record with Ariana might be like, oh fuck, I gotta work with this girl, she's fire, but then on the back end, you don't realize that writer didn't get credit on the record, only got like 1% because the sample wanted 90% of the record, and there's 7 other creators on the record, and then the artist wants half of what 10% that's left. So like you also get that scorn a little bit too. So you have to be able to push through a lot of that and really understand, like, this is not the consistency is something that really can't be controlled on the label and industry side, but your consistency can be. So you have to believe enough in yourself to push through all that and be like, you know what? It happened. I got this great credit. I'm gonna just keep working, and something's gonna eventually happen for me.
Exactly. And the last point on that too is, like, I treat my job as I'm in sales. This is customer service. This is sales. I'm selling records. If I publish you, I'm selling you to people, managers, A&Rs, artists. It's sales and it's customer service. Like, you got to maintain, I'll open the door for you all day long, but if you don't maintain those relationships, if you don't go make a good impression, if you don't go exchange phone numbers, go try to bring someone to lunch after that, it's like, I don't know what to tell you. I can't micromanage your relationships, but I'll open the door and I'll give opportunities. You got to be a self-starter. And again, like, you really got to want this shit, because even when you do get that milestone that you might want, the business might not look right. Like Jay Hatch is right. It might not be the thing that changes your life, but it could open the door that does lead to the thing that changes your life. And especially in publishing, like, it really is a penny's business. Everything adds up. You're just stacking, watering. You know, you have a couple things pop, great, what's next? You know, I've been doing all this shit over here. You have to love this shit, and you really have to, like, be addicted to it in a way, because as glamorous and as amazing it is, like, it'll tear you down too. Like, you know, it's not all, even at my level, I have days where I'm like, damn, do I fucking suck at this? Like, I have days where everyone's mad at me, everything's my fault, and then I have days where I'm like, damn, like, I'm all over the charts, life is good, everyone's happy, and it's just, but I'm addicted to this. Like, I really love this game. I know you really love this game. You know, Steve loves this game. Like, we're in it for life, and you just have to make sure that that's for you. You know, it's fun and it's amazing, and it's all the feels.
Everybody clap your hands for Ashley, please. So Ashley she has to be out of here in a few minutes. She has another event to attend with an artist that she's working with. So we're gonna give her flowers because of the things you've done over the last 5 to 10 years, amazing writers, the contribution to music. And this is the Pub Queen official Creative Space Award.
Let's go.
Don't drop it, because it'll... But this is for you,
Wow.
for everything you've done.
So
we
much.
appreciate you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Let's do a quick little flick right here.